In 2011, a brand new and exciting theme park project was announced for the south of Spain. This was to be Europe's amazing brand new theme park resort, themed around some of the most popular and beloved Paramount properties. However, this story begins long before with none other than Mickey Mouse and his boss Michael Eisner. Back in the late 1980s, Disney was looking at coming to Europe with the biggest theme park resort in the history of the continent. When the search for the perfect location was nearing its end, 4 areas came through, 2 in Spain and 2 in France. The Spanish locations were both close to the Mediterranean and offered, on top of anything else, good weather. One was near Barcelona, Spain's most visited city, and the other in Alicante, which became the front runner. Ultimately, Disney went to Paris, due to the number of visitors he got, closenesses to other European cities, the TGV connection, and many others. However, the broken promise of a major theme park in Spanish soil left a hole in the locals' hearts. After Disney went to the neighbors above, the Spanish took matters into their own hands, and a new era of theme parks soon came with many new developments around the country. Firstly, it was PortAventura in Tarragona near Barcelona, around the same area where Disney proposed their own theme park. PortAventura opened in 1995 and has an incredible story of its own, as Universal bought a share of the park and was known as Universal PortAventura for some years. The South soon got its own theme park in 1997 with Isla Mágica, reusing a part of the Expo 92 infrastructure. Some years later, Madrid wanted to get in all the fun, and so in 2002, Warner Bros. Movie World Madrid opened its gates. Its story is incredibly interesting and filled with controversy, but that's a story for another day. Just 2 years earlier, a park in Benidorm opened its gates. Terra Mítica was built close to the second Disney-proposed site in the country. It has 5 themed lands: Egypt, Rome, Iberia, the islands, and Greece. In 2001, Paramount Parks came to manage the park, and it was then rebranded. Terra Mítica, a Paramount Park, Universal PortAventura, and Warner Bros. Movie World, the 3 biggest theme parks in Spain, all had a Hollywood studio either behind them from the start or buy into them. This sounding like a great path to success. Unfortunately, it wasn't. In 2004, both Universal and Paramount left their respective Spanish parks, due to different reasons. PortAventura is, to this day, a financial success, turning a profit every season, whereas the same cannot be said for Terra Mítica. The park filed for bankruptcy in 2005, was split in 2 with a free-to-enter part, has left their wooden coaster abandoned, and saw many other mismanagements over the years. After the pandemic, some good decisions were made, such as joining the park into one once again, but the park is still losing money. Years after all these Spanish parks were up and running, a new proposal appeared in Murcia, about an hour and a half from the failing Terra Mítica park. At a press conference in Madrid, a major resort was announced, with a price tag of 1.1 billion euros, or almost 1.5 today adjusted for inflation. This would bring to life a unique destination park, with the latest technologies in interaction with the 3 million estimated yearly visitors, revolving around the history of some of the most legendary film studios ever. The project was divided into a large 55-hectare area reserved for a theme park, bigger than Terra Mítica's 30 hectares or Warner's 35. It could only be compared to PortAventura Park in terms of size. The other part was a 78-hectare lifestyle center. This would have hotels, a street mall, a casino, and many leisure and restaurants locations to complement the offerings of the theme park. The park itself would boast 5 different lands, each filled with detail and highly themed environments. Let's see what they had planned then. As with any theme park, the entrance is very important. Here, a large square opens with a recreation of the iconic Paramount Archway in the center, surrounded by palm trees and fountains. The land guests would find themselves in after passing through the gates is Paseo Paramount, a mixture of Las Vegas and Hollywood with Mediterranean architecture. This would act as a Main Street USA, filled with stores and restaurants, all very inviting. As a concept show, this land, much like all the others, would be fully immersive, with tall set pieces and theming. However, they go a little further than that, as on the second level of most of these buildings is the first hotel, with 4 to 5 stars, being one of the flagship hotels of the whole resort, stretching all the way to the end of Paseo Paramount, truly making it so like guests never left the magic of Paramount Park. Still in this entrance land is the main stage theater, where the biggest shows of the park would be found. Opening day would bring one inspired by the classic film School of Rock, starring Jack Black. After making your way down Paseo Paramount, a square opens up with a central lake right in front of you. Guessing by the path on the side, it can be assumed this body of water would be home to shows, perhaps a large nighttime show. Here guests could choose to go right or left. We'll turn left. We then enter Adventure City, where visitors will be able to experience some thrilling moments from several iconic films. But the main focus of the land is, without a doubt, Mission Impossible. Behind the large facade lays one of the big e-ticket attractions of the park, a ride like the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man from Universal Parks, where riders will be put directly into a high-energy mission with amazing sets, 4D effects, and more. We can see part of the ride in this detailed map, with a queue, 2 pre-show rooms where guests will be briefed on their missions, and then the ride layout. To its side, Titanic the Exhibition will be found, making it a rather strange mix of properties. Here visitors could explore the unforgettable story of the ship with countless artifacts, displays, and other medias, all leading to the climax of the immersive walkthrough, a large showcase of the sinking ship with many effects. Still in Adventure City, the movie Grease would be found in a rather simple bumper car attraction and one of the restaurants of the land. The other restaurant here would be inspired by none other than The Godfather, an Italian restaurant where you could dine like some of the most iconic mafia members of cinema. Leaving the big city, we find ourselves in a western area, the third themed land of the park so far. Rango's West, inspired and themed around the animated movie Rango, will be filled with performers, attractions, shops, and restaurants from the Old West. Since this is a recreation of Rango's version of the Wild West, it's a frontier land, but with a twist, where huge bottles, barrels, and jars have been transformed into the buildings of the land itself. Several attractions would be found, starting with Rango's Rooting Tooting 4D Spectacular, a highly immersive 4D theater playing the movie How the West Was Sung, starring Rango the Sheriff himself as we help him restoring order in the city. It would be a similar experience to Despicable Me in Universal Parks. Secondly, a large family mine train coaster called Spirit of the West would chug across themed environments, large sets, and more, similarly to Big Thunder Mountain itself. In the back of the land, there's another major ride, Rango's Raging Rapids, a thrilling raft ride splashing its way around a good part of the land, interacting with non-riders outside the ride. It would surely be a huge success during the warmer days. Other smaller flat rides and playgrounds would be found in the land as well, making sure no part of the family is left behind. Leaving the Old West, we come across what is the most unique of the lands here, the Enchanted Forest. There are 3 distinct lands. Sleeping Hollow is inspired by the Tale and the Burden movie. This is a darker place, reflecting the atmosphere of the film. A large venue hides behind the grim facades, where a 3D Sleepy Hollow show with a Headless Horseman combined with real actors can be found. Stormhold, the second area, is much cuter and jolly. Here, magic and witches are found everywhere. Smaller rides like a carousel, a river adventure, and a small interactive theater can be found. Stardust's Magician Workshop displays one of the interactive parts of the land, similarly to Ollivanders in the Wizarding World. Spiderwick Chronicles is the third area. Connected to the town lies a fantasy forest full of magical creatures like ogres or fairies. This area has a small coaster aimed at families and smaller kids. alongside what appears to be a major interactive trackless ride where guests can practice their magic against monsters with their wands, surely being the e-ticket of this magical land. A second major hotel would be found at the back of the land, complementing the skyline of it all, once again filled with details and making it seem like an extension of the park. According to the creators behind the project, this land would be the crown jewel of the park due to the amazing landscaping and theming, including waterways and more. With this, we reach the final land of the park, Plaza Futura, which translates to Future Square. This land is dedicated to sci-fi, with the anchor property being the giant Star Trek, but also with H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. It's themed to a large-scale retro-futuristic area with tall buildings each beaming with energy and lights. 3 main attractions can be found, starting with Cassar Force, a highly themed Wild Mouse indoors roller coaster inspired by Wells' stories, right at the entrance of the land. Then, guests enter the Star Trek area. Here, they can ride the amazing 3D simulator ride, like Star Tours, themed around the recruitment center. The queues and shops are attractions of their own, with incredible attention to detail and areas to explore. Then, there's only the flagship coaster of the park left. Warp Speed, its name, would invite guests in with a coaster visible from the whole land. It's a launch coaster with a top speed of over 100 km an hour, goes up 30 meters from the ground, and would go around 650 meters of track with loops and other elements. The theme park was announced to great fanfare from both fans of the movies from all around the world and the locals themselves. It was hoped the resort would be a success due to the brand new Murcia International Airport, and it being a destination rather than just a theme park like its cousin Terra Mítica. The company behind the project was Premusa, created by Jesus Samper, a man that all his life had invested in the region. All was well, the company had bought the land, and on May 31st, 2012, a temporary tent was built with many banners around it for the groundbreaking ceremony, which happened that day. From then, not much happened. But why? Well, it turns out a large portion of the land sold to the company had been reclassified by the region when it shouldn't. This was denounced and the project had to stop until a final sentence was given, which took years. In 2017, the courts finally confirmed that around 20% of the land was part of the original park. Jesus fought hard for his dream. In the meantime, the project was reduced in scale, removing some of the smaller rides and areas, but with his death in 2015 and little interest from others, Paramount Park Spain went with him to the grave. Other similar projects appeared elsewhere with the London Paramount Resort, also known as the London Resort after Paramount dropped out, and a Paramount Korea. This project had been cancelled, but new life was given in 2018. Unfortunately, it was delayed and not much has happened since. It's almost as if anything to do with Paramount has a less than fortunate end. Well, at the end of the day, some of the ideas ended up somewhere else, like the Star Trek launch coaster that opened in Movie Park Germany, but most of them never saw the light of day, which is truly unfortunate. So much work had been put in by creatives to develop fun-filled lands, rivaling the best when it came to immersion, just for them to be forgotten by most. With that, we come to the end of this story. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing and liking. Which of the rides would you like to see come to fruition somewhere else? Let me know down below. And now, as always, thank you for watching, and that's a wrap.